Hey everybody, Father Warner here. The reflection for today is that of Tuesday in the 6th week of Easter, and our text is taken from Acts chapter 16 verses 22 to 34. But I suggest that you read from verse 16 onwards. Now, I want to suggest that you pause this video, read the text. It's very crucial that you read God's word in order to understand this teaching that I'm about to do. So read from Acts chapter 16 verses 16 all the way down to verse 34. I'm going to cover 16 to 21, which is not in our text, but will help you to understand what's going on in today's text. So where is Paul and Silas? So remember, Paul and Barnabas have parted ways. Paul, Silas and Timothy are now on what is called the second missionary journey of Paul. The first missionary journey, Paul and Barnabas traveled to Cyprus and what is modern day Turkey. The second missionary journey, they wanted to go to modern day Turkey, that is Asia, but God insisted that they go to Europe. They come to Macedonia, which is modern day Greece, and in particular they have arrived at Philippi, which is a Roman colony. And it is here that they have met already a woman called Lydia. She was a businesswoman who worked and dealt with purple cloth. We saw that and we studied it yesterday. If you missed that teaching, please go back and watch it. So the text of today, or rather the verse 16 to 21, really is the second incident that takes place in Philippi. This is the same place that Paul will write a letter to the Philippians. And we are told that they were going to the place of prayer. Remember that there is no synagogue in Philippi, and we heard in yesterday's reading how they go out of the gate of the city, and there they meet women who are also in prayer. So they once again they are going to the place of prayer, and we are told that a slave girl who had a spirit of divination and brought her owner's great money begins to follow Paul. Now, it's very interesting. You can see that she's a slave girl. She's owned by someone. She has no freedom. And she is possessed. Basically, she has an evil spirit in her. And her owners are willing to make money out of her, knowing very well that she has an evil spirit. You know, this is the sad thing. When you make money, knowing that the money you are making is linked to evil, that is a very, very sinful thing. So if you did it by mistake, great. No one holds a gun to your head, but it is definitely a sin when you're making money knowing that the person you are associated or associating with is not getting it through legal ways. And here it was even more. Her owners were making money out of her because she had the power of divination. So she follows Paul and Silas, and we are told that Paul gets angry with her. Now, you therefore want to know, why would Paul get angry? Because she refers to these men as slaves of the Most High God. Paul should have been happy with that. But read the whole verse and you will see in verse 17 she says, "These men are slaves of the Most High God who proclaim to you a way of salvation." A way, which means that Paul and Silas are proclaiming one of many ways. There are many ways of salvation, and Paul and Silas are preaching a way of salvation. That is not our faith. Jesus is the way, the truth. We did the truth already. The way, the truth, the life. Yeah, Jesus is not a way to salvation. There are many Catholics who will say, oh, you know, God is one, and they will say all gods are the same, and you know, all paths lead to the same God. All of this is complete and utter nonsense. Yeah, you cannot hold this. I know that very often people in mixed marriages, and I understand the difficulties of mixed marriages, like to find a midway path. Please understand that when you come to fill up your forms, we always speak of the dangers to the faith. Yeah, we always say looking at the danger to the faith, because very often you have to, in order to make your partner happy, compromise. You can stick to your beliefs. There are many Catholics who are very devout, mixed marriages, but you can't hold that there are several ways to salvation. Jesus is the way. So Paul is angry because she speaks of these men of the Most High God who proclaim to you a way of salvation, and Paul rejects it. And how does he reject it? By ordering the spirit out of this person, which means that no longer can her owners make money. And what happens next is very interesting. See, she was owned by many. She had several owners, but she was made free by one. Sometimes it just takes one, God, to free us from our many, many demons, like this woman was. So we are told that her owners now realize she can't make any more money, and they are angry. See, they are not angry because this girl was set free. They should have been rejoicing, set free of an evil spirit. But you see, their purses have now run dry. They are no longer going to make this evil money that they were making. And so they drag Paul and Silas to the marketplace before the authorities. We know that they bring trumped up charges. You see, this is what happens even in our country. When you cannot hold a Christian to any truthful charge, then the easiest thing to say in this country is these are converters. These are trumped up charges, and many magistrates like these are quite willing to throw you into jail for a couple of days, and then you have to wait for due process, which takes its own time in this country. So they are brought before the magistrate. And what is the false accusation? That these men are disturbing the city. They are Jews. Now listen to what he says. And they are advocating customs that are not lawful to us as Romans to adopt or observe. And here's the mistake they make. You see, Paul and Silas were Romans. Paul is a Roman citizen. That is the reason why Paul was beheaded. He was not crucified. Crucifixion could not be given to a Roman citizen. Peter was crucified. Paul was beheaded. But we are told that, and that's where our text begins today, we are told that the magistrate, gets caught up in this jingoism, in this religious, misplaced religious fervor, and he has Paul and Silas stripped of their clothes. This is humiliation. They are stripped naked, and then they are beaten with rods. This must have been a very, very painful beating. And then they are given a severe flogging, they are thrown into prison, and they are fastened in the stocks. And our text today tells us of how there is an earthquake, and Paul and Silas are loosened of their bonds. And the jailer thinks that they have now run away, and Paul shouts, he's about to take his life, the jailer, and life is beautiful, life is precious. Very often we have suicidal thoughts. Get help, find somebody who can help you. Don't take, your life is beautiful. I want to tell you this, don't indulge in these negative thoughts. Very often I see Catholics indulging constantly in negative talk. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was telling him the same thing. I said, no, change the way you talk. The more we indulge in negative talk, the more it affects us. Yeah. And so he's about to take his life, the jailer, when Paul and Silas say, do not harm yourselves. You'll see that in verse 28, we are here. And he calls for the lights. He comes in and sees they are there, and he realizes that these are special people. He takes them home, he bandages their wounds, he feeds them, and he and his family are baptized. You see, every occasion, I quite forget the name of the cardinal. I think it was Van Thuan from Vietnam, who was made cardinal by John Paul II, and the Vietnamese government, fearing that, like how the impact that Pope John Paul had on Poland, he would have on, this cardinal would have on Vietnam, had him imprisoned. And reading his life is so beautiful, because Cardinal Van Thuan, and I'm sure I got his name right now, evangelized even to his prisoners. He told them, I don't hate you, I don't resent you, I love you. But it's also very interesting to see what Paul and Silas were doing when they were thrown in prison. The scriptures tell us that about midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns, and the prisoners were listening to them. That's called witness. Praying, and they knew whom to turn to in their sufferings. Yeah? They didn't turn to the best lawyers, they turned to the best lawyer, not to a human one, but to the heavenly one. And God heard their prayers. They were not only evangelizing other prisoners, but God also works this wonderful miracle. So when we ourselves are struggling in our lives, my dear brothers and sisters, turn to Jesus. Simple prayers, just simple. All through your day, fill your day with simple prayers, and God hears us. Yeah, in our struggles, in our pain, in our difficulty. Tomorrow, or rather this teaching is for Tuesday, the 7th of May. In Goa, we're going to go to the polls. I will be going to vote, and I hope those who are from Goa, whatever time of day that you're watching this, it's your moral duty to go and vote. To the people of Mumbai, other cities, please do not. I was horrified, may I say. I do not know how far sometimes WhatsApp is true, but I saw a Goan newspaper that put out a photograph of Goans Catholics at a railway station in Goa, heading to Velankani, and it showed the platform full of them leaving at a time when they should have been voting, because I know the Cardinal here has asked people not to go on pilgrimages. So these free or these subsidized train services to Velankani, very conveniently organized at this time. So if this is true, it's a shame that our Catholics have gone to Velankani. It's a shame, because you know very well your moral obligation to your nation and your country to go and vote. So I pray, please pray for Goa, please pray for your own countries, please or your own states, please pray for India. God knows how much we are on the cusp of, if I may dare say, a very, very dangerous situation. So if you're watching from many other countries, please pray for us as we continue with the general elections. It's a long process in India. For very often people wonder what's going on in India. In India, we have several phases of polling which go on and on and on, and our polling goes on for more than a month. Thank you, everybody. Please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done it. Bye for now.